7 states in the northeastern part of the United States are coordinating closely to try and reopen their economies together following the worst of the coronavirus. They include the epicenter of New York, as well as New Jersey, Rhode Island, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. For more on this, let's speak right now and welcome Connecticut's Governor Ned Lamont. Governor, thank you for being here today.
Good morning, Becky.
First of all, give us an update. How are things going in Connecticut, and how's your constituency going? What kind of numbers are you seeing at this point, and where do you think we are in the curve?
So Fairfield County, southern Connecticut, was really part of that whole New York City regional pandemic. They got hit first. Hospitalizations are down, so that's a big plus. But the virus is moving right up the Metro North I-95 corridor. And hitting Hartford, Connecticut now pretty hard. So there's still going to be some flare-ups, I think, over the course of the next few weeks.
We know that you are working with other governors in the region and realize why that's important. You don't want to open in one area and just have residents in a place that doesn't open come to that place and potentially spread disease there. But where do things stand right now? Where are you in these talks about when we can start to see things reopening?
I've got a May 20th date as a decision note. I've told schools we're not going to reopen before May 20th. I told, generally speaking, our businesses don't expect any big changes before May 20th. Between now and May 20th, we're going to do a lot more testing, and we'll actually have more of the surgical masks we need that are so key for manufacturing and stores and retail to get them going again.
What has to happen between now and then for you to say, OK, May 20th is the day we start to open? And what does that look like? What opens first?
Well, the presidential guidelines, I think, were pretty responsible. They said, 14 days and then 28 days of declining infections, declining hospitalizations. That gives you a yellow light to cautiously start opening things up. And again, like I said, if we have more surgical masks, that allows us to allow those smaller businesses to get going more safely. My instinct is that we're going to first focus on our big manufacturing and outside construction, something that Connecticut never closed down, by the way, but make sure they can do that safely and continue to expand there. Then we'll look at the retail. Right now, the retail can do everything on a takeout basis. We never stop that, but look cautiously at opening them up on a limited basis.
What comes later? What things will still remain shuttered as far as you're concerned?
I think the things that come later are the things that Georgia opened up first, which surprised me. Those things that have very close personal contact, bars, restaurants where you're closed in, probably even barbershops, nail salons, places where you have close personal contact. There I think we're going to have to wait till we have a little more testing and more masks.
Governor, what kind of economic damage has been done to your state at this point? Where are you seeing the most pain, and what kind of help are you seeking from the federal government?
Obviously, small business, Main Street business, small retail, restaurant, bars, they've been devastated. Obviously, their revenues disappeared. And I think the CARE Act did pretty good by small business. We need to true that up. They need more money. Connecticut got about 18,000 loans to small businesses. So maybe that was 40% of our total workforce. So that was a start, but we still have left an awful lot of people behind, and that ramps up your unemployment.
What will you do if it looks like there's a second outbreak once things start to reopen? How closely will you be measuring? Where will you be measuring? And what would make you think, wait a second, this is too much too soon? Because we know there will be potential outbreaks in places as we start to open up. It's inevitable.
I think it's inevitable, but I want to do it cautiously. I don't want to have another big outbreak, likes of what you see in India and Singapore and other places. That would just be a body blow to the economy. So let's stay if we can keep on a steady track as best we can. Look, I've got smart thermometers out there right now. You take your temperature, Bluetooth to your phone, up to the cloud, so we can track, fevers on a regional basis and see what's going on. How We Feel. That's a site we've got where we've got thousands of people logging on to that app, so we can have them test their symptoms. So we have thousands of people there will be able to track things early on, so we don't just have to wait for the PCR testing, which we are going to ramp up as well.
You said schools are closed through May 20th. You didn't mention that, though, in the things that first open up. What do you anticipate with the rest of the school season? Is that something you think will happen, that kids will go back to school this school year? I can't speak to that, but we're going to have a lot more information, so we'll be able to speak to that before May 20th. You know, a lot of places are considering opening up schools, at least on a voluntary basis for the younger grades. You can do that on a regional basis, where you can't really do bars and restaurants on a regional basis, because all that means is everybody will drive to that one bar that's open. That's no good. Yeah, I guess my question is, where does it fall? Is that one of the first things to go back, the school, or one of the last? And it does relate pretty closely to people being able to go back to work. If the schools are closed, it's difficult for working parents with children to be able to go back to work.
Yeah, I would do schools very cautiously. The guidelines coming out of the Pence Commission said you need 28 days of declining metrics. Maybe then and only then do you even consider opening up schools on a limited basis.
And Governor, I realize you're working with all these other governors in the region very closely, but there must be times where there's maybe some tension that comes up between you all, too, because you each have your own concerns. I remember a few weeks back when the governor of Rhode Island was using National Guard to kind of track down anybody who came into her state with New York plates because she was worried about the spread of the virus there. Where are the areas you work best together, and where have there been some areas where maybe there's a little friction?
Well, you described one where maybe there was a little bit of friction. I think we work best right now. We got a regional consortium, and I'm talking to all the New England governors in a few hours, sharing data, sharing testing protocols, what's working and not working when it comes to correction facilities, nursing homes, those places that can be such a hotbed right now. We think along the same lines in terms of bars, restaurants, anything that would mean cross-border travel, which is something we're trying to discourage.
Governor, I want to thank you for your time. Realize putting in a lot of long hours and trying to make sure you're protecting your citizens. We do appreciate your time today.